Happy fall ball, y'all. Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers is back. The official fall ball episode. We did have an emergency podcast last week with some breaking news in college baseball with Tony Vitello going to the San Francisco Giants. But today, the official fall ball episode is here as we are joined by now the two-time LSU baseball national champion head coach, Jay Johnson. Jay, welcome back to the program and congratulations again on the 8th national title in baseball for LSU. How have you been? How's things been since the dog pile in June in Omaha?
Yeah, great dog pile for sure. Love championships. Love championships at LSU. That part's been great. And in the landscape of today, you're celebrating a great lifetime accomplishment that lasts forever, and you're also moving on to the next thing. That's just the business that we're in, and feel like we're doing both very well. So excited about where we're headed and very proud of the 2025 team and what we accomplished.
Absolutely. 4 years ago for you, as we kind of dive deeper into this 25 team, 4 years ago, you come to Baton Rouge. The goal, the expectation, it's very singular, right? It's very obvious. Win a national title. You've done that twice now in 4 seasons at LSU. What does that mean to you to have been able to accomplish that for yourself, but also for this program and this community that really thrives and breeds championships and national pedigree?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think from a personal standpoint, there's a lot of gratification. I've made college baseball and being a head college baseball coach my entire life, and Omaha is the pinnacle, and winning in Omaha is the pinnacle. And to do it 2 times, something I'm very proud of. I think, but the why might be a little different than people might think. Our philosophy here is to develop to win and develop in a lot of different ways. As a person, as a student, as a player, I want players to be more successful in their life because they played baseball at LSU and played baseball as a part of our program. And when you kind of peel back the process or how you get there, a lot of them have really benefited from playing baseball here over the last 4 years. And you look at the draft picks, the guys that have already made it to the big leagues, the personal successes. There's been a lot of that, on our journey to those championships. So it's great for them. And then the community it's one of one. I've made some of the best friends in my life, and I've only lived here 4.5 years. And there's a thought I had of Southern hospitality when I got here, and it's absolutely lived up to the reputation, and very, very thankful for the community, the support, the entire state. It takes a lot of pride in LSU baseball, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, you bring up the Southern hospitality and the uniqueness of the LSU community. You're a West Coast guy. Like, you come from California, and now you're here in Baton Rouge. Total culture shock from there to here. So do you consider yourself, just have you assimilated fully into this community as being the head coach now for 4.5 years at LSU?
Yeah, well, right now this is our home, and very thankful that it's our home. And, I think it's really cool when you talk about college baseball, like, it's my life, and not everywhere do people really care about what you do and how you do it. And I think that's a blessing. And I get asked about the crazy, unmeetable expectations all the time, but there's another side of the coin of that people don't talk about. It's the regional final against Little Rock, and we're down 5-1. And there's 13,000 people in the stadium cheering our players on like we were winning the game 5-1, and they totally made a difference in the game. In the super regional, nobody was coming in here and winning, like with the way the crowd was, their enthusiasm for getting back to Omaha. And so you can't have one without the other. And so I'll take the full stadium all day, every day. And it's why we have one of the best home field advantages in all of college baseball.
No, you're absolutely right. And that was actually my next question, because that Little Rock team and that whole regional was feisty. I mean, that was a lot. And like you said, you guys were down in that game 7. You come back, you win it. You end up taking care of West Virginia in the super regional. Like you said, after that Little Rock comeback, it kind of felt like this was the LSU train and nobody was getting in front of it on the way to the national title. So was there a moment in that Little Rock game where you kind of saw a switch change in this team and said, okay, we're here, we're good?
It's really, it's a day I'll never forget the rest of my life, because it was an interesting regional. Like, we won the first game 7-0 and the second game 12-0, played basically like perfect baseball. And there was just this expectation when we were showing up on Sunday night. We were totally prepared, but like, we got hit by a freight train that night. Like, they played phenomenal. Like, and hats off to Coach Curry and those players. Like, I mean, they took it to us. I think it was like 10-4, and it was something else. And so I think that night I went to bed and it was like, there's no way this team is not finishing its season in Omaha, because our team, meaning our team, like, we had done everything right for the entire season. And I don't know that we were actually the most talented team in America last year, but I did feel like nobody played better more consistently than we did. And so I started thinking about it for 1 second, like, no way. Like, there's no way our season ends here tonight. So when I woke up in the morning, I had like this different feel about the game. Not like, oh, we're going to win, but it was like, I have to come up with something to get these guys in the right frame of mind to play well. And I feel like we did that. We actually brought them in earlier, had a good meeting, and they didn't need motivation. They just kind of needed to know what their job and their task was to execute, like we'd done all year. And I thought we were in a great mindset to do that. And then you look up and it's 5-1 in the third, fourth inning. And we just kind of kept to it. And, what I remember about that night is the crowd was not going to let us lose. And the guys in the dugout, like, they were not going to let us lose. And easily the most emotion I've ever felt, like, in a baseball game since I've been here, Jared Jones hit a 2-run homer in the ninth. And it took the lead from 7-6 to 9-6. And it's like, that's when it felt like a freight train started. And, we had Eyanson in the game already. He got us out of a jam. And I mean, he went the fastest 1-2-3 in the ninth inning. And I just remember telling the team after that game that night, I was like, guys, look, like, that's one of the best wins of my entire career. And we'd already won a national championship and already been to the College World Series finals another time. But I genuinely felt like that's one of the best wins I've ever had, because there's just no way that team season was going to end here in a regional final. That was not the story of our team last year. And then I felt like we took that experience that we had in the regional and used it phenomenally well the rest of the way.
Yeah, you never lost after that again. You swept the Super. You went right through Omaha and took care of business, beating Coastal Carolina in 2 games, who had a 26-game winning streak. Let's remind folks of that. You beat the hottest team in college baseball. You said, your LSU team might not have been the best. They weren't even the hottest going into Omaha. That was Coastal, and you took care of them, no problem. So certainly says a lot about your team and the resolve of your team to come back. And I agree. When Bear went yard in the 9th inning, it was over. It was all over. That was when I knew it was done. I didn't know necessarily that was it for you guys to go to the national championship and win it all, but it was an amazing ride to watch you all do it. So let's go back to that day, June 22nd, 2025, which I know feels like ages ago. It was only 4 months ago, Coach, which I'm sure is crazy to you. But you win it all. Pandemonium ensues. You got a throng of media. People are rejoicing. You've been through this before. You know how this goes. So it all quiets down. What's the rest of the day like for you? Because it's 4 p.m. Like, did you eat something? Television said you didn't eat a dang thing the whole day before the game.
Yeah, it's I'll never forget the day the rest of my life. And it was 2 very different experiences winning these championships. And I'm very single-minded in how I do things. And in the 23 one, we're winning 18-4 in the 9th inning. But I was still so like, next pitch, next play. Like, it didn't even really hit me until like the first out of the 9th inning. Like, Jordan Thompson made a great play. And then I just got like flooded with emotion. Like, we're going to do it. Like, we're going to win the national championship. And then I had 2 outs to like process like what was going on. Well, this time it was completely different. It's 5-3. The tying runs at the plate. I have 2 freshmen up in the bullpen in Kason Evans and Cooper Williams. And then I'm thinking about, okay, Shores, I like they're not seeing him well. He's sinking the ball. It's going to be hard for them to hit a homer, which the wind was blowing that day. So you had to be careful about that. And all right, Bodine's on deck. Is the defense set up correctly? If I'm going to make the move, when am I going to make the move? all of these things are going through my head, and then double play and we win the national championship. And like Coach Yeski is like bear hugging me. I'm like telling him, don't break my ribs, because that actually happened before when we won the Pac-12 championship at Arizona. He like squeezed me so hard I couldn't breathe for like 10 days. I literally looked at him and I was like, do not break my ribs again. And so that was like, it couldn't have been like two more different like experiences of closing out the national championship. And then that day, it's everything that you dream about. And like I said, I just have so much personal pride in last year's team and how they did this. And then, yeah, I mean, you get the whole night to sit there and celebrate. And it was great because we got to come back to the hotel, sit there one more time together as a team with nobody else there and just talk about what that meant. And that was really special. We also did it the next day when we came back here at Alex Box. And those are two meetings that are like ingrained in my memory forever. And then the fans, like, I mean, I think it took me like 2 hours to get from the meeting room to the elevator of the hotel with, pandemonium and players' parents and fans and pictures. And, LSU, when you win a championship, they know how to do it. And then that lived up to the billing. But then there was time to like go up to the room, and you got one of the trophies over there. And like somebody had put it on my table. I just looked at it and go like, it's kind of sweet. This is pretty awesome. and then my entire family was there. So like we literally were by 10 o'clock, we're just sitting in the hotel room at the Embassy Suite, sitting there talking. It was an awesome night. And then the next morning you're still so excited. Like I woke up super early and just walked back over to the stadium and sat in the dugout for a few minutes, watched sun come up to make sure that it really happened again. And just so proud of that team. What an experience.
Did you finally eat something though? That's the question everybody wants to know. You didn't have anything before the game.
Yeah, I came up with this theory that's totally wrong, like dating back to when I was a player, that sometimes a hungry dog hunts best. And so yeah, I smashed a massive pepperoni pizza after the game.
There you go. That's awesome. Listen, I'm glad you got food in your belly, and I'm glad that Coach Yeski did not break your ribs, because the last thing we need is Coach Johnson on the IL in the offseason, right? You got work to do. You just won the national title, but you guys have got to go right back to work. Like that, there's no offseason, and we're gonna touch on that in just a second. But you touched on a bunch of stuff that you guys have done to celebrate. A lot of great moments in Omaha and coming back to Alex Box. Your team, you've also received the key to the city from the mayor. Your team just got their rings over the weekend at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center before the A&M LSU football game. You guys went to the White House, and like Louisiana, it's the cream of the crop when it comes to throwing celebrations. We mentioned that. What's been the best moment for you celebrating this championship? Was it one of those things? Was it celebrating with your family? What sticks out to you the most?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think all of it's been awesome. It's been a unique dynamic because all of this happened this past week, where you have to celebrate that accomplishment. Otherwise, the players will lose a sense of like, what are we doing all of this work for? And I was not going to take that away from them all week last week. I mean, we went to the White House, and that's amazing. And, just from a personal standpoint, being a kid and growing up a sports fan, it's like, in the 80s when the 49ers won the Super Bowl, you'd look at the White House and there's Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, or Emmitt Smith, for the Cowboys when they were doing it. So that was always like something I had. Hey, you win the championship, you go to the White House, and we didn't get to go last time for whatever reason in 23. So that was really special. I mean, you're walking up there and you're standing on the front door and the steps going like, whoa, like this will never happen again, probably. So let's make sure we take this in. And that was such a great day for our players. And, to see the president, call, Kate Anderson and Jared Jones and Josh Pearson by name, and Anthony Eyanson and Chris Stanfield and Danny Dickinson, and shake their hand. Like that was a pretty special moment for me, because those guys they're the reason we won the championship. And then coming back, we went to the governor's mansion on Tuesday night, which great meal there, and sat with him and his wife for an hour and a half. And I mean, he just totally in tune with the team, was in Omaha for the first game against Coastal, and that was awesome. And then for me, though, if you're asking me like the ring ceremony is the culmination of it. To me, get to hand every player their championship ring, and to have that one last, like, thank you. Like, you have no idea the impact like you've made on my life and this program that I think there was like 10,000 people in there. I mean, what other program does that happen? That was the highlight for me. And, it's one of those, like, you take a step, I could live in this forever right now.
Continuing with Jay Johnson here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers as we celebrate the culmination of LSU's 2025 Baseball National Championship. Do you have the ring with you, Coach? Can we see it on camera?
I have it at home. Like, I actually had to hand it. I'm sorry about that. Like,
that's okay.
My wife, because we were at the football game and you're immediately doing recruiting, like, right after. And I was like, do not lose this. So she took it home. It's actually at my home office, sitting on my table in my home office. So
that's all right. No problem at all. Now, actually, you bring up your wife, and I had a question later in the show, but we're going to bring it up now because you brought her up. Have you retired the hat that you switched mid-season? Because I saw a story that your wife made you switch hats, and you started winning, and I forget who it was. One of your players was like, Jay, you're not changing that hat, dude. Like, we're playing well. Like, is that hat retired, or are you going to wear it opening day 26?
It's retired, and I actually felt like we were so consistent last year. We only lost one midweek game, but we got pounded by like 10 runs in that. Yeah. And so I thought that was a good time. Okay, we can retire the hat I had worn in games since I've been here, and we could start a new hat. And so we'll keep this one going for a while, but I'm starting to get closer to 50. So she said, you look like you're like 59 years old with that old hat on. You need a new hat. And I wasn't going to change it until I think we had lost 2 in a row for the only time all year last year. And then, so we went with the new hat.
Leave it to our significant others to keep us humble. I love it. All right. Let's talk about some of these guys on the 25 team. You brought up Anthony Eyanson a couple of times, and I wanted to touch on him because he formed one of the most lethal 1-2 duos in college baseball history, let alone last year. History with Cade Anderson. Those guys were 1-2, good night, see you later. When you add him from UC San Diego, you had mentioned that he was kind of that extra linchpin that really brought everything together for this team. And I think Hoover may have been a turning point for him because he comes in, he closes out that game against Texas A&M. And I think that may have maybe unlocked another option for his usage, kind of freed up this team even more on the mound. Did you see that as a turning point for him and for this pitching staff to expand even more?
Yeah, I would say for him personally, it happened a little earlier in the season. Like, he was doing good, but we felt like there was another level to him. And, the best pitching development setup in college baseball right now with Coach Yeskie. I think he's the greatest pitching coach in college baseball history, and his track record speaks for itself. I think he had some really good mindset conversations with Anthony. And then, Jamie Tutko looked at how we were using who's our director of pitching development, looked at how we were using his pitches and felt like we could make some small adjustments. And when you have a thought process like that, and then you have, in my opinion, the best pitch caller in college baseball and Anthony's ability, like, it was probably the back half of SEC play. He loaded the bases in the first inning against Alabama, and it was like a 32 pitch inning, and somehow found a way to get out of there with 1 run. And then it was like, from that point on, he was pretty dominant. Now, you brought up a good point about the SEC tournament. There was a reason I used both of them in one game. We had all the buys because we either finished second or third in the conference stand. I don't remember what it was, but we had all the buys, so we didn't play till Friday. And so now you're looking at, okay, these guys are both on normal rest for the regional, but we have to pitch them today for them to be on normal rest. And you never know how it's going to shake out. I know we're going to host. We're going to be a 1 seed. So I wanted to leave the option of deciding how we wanted to set up the regional. Then there was this thought process of, okay, which one, if you get into a Game 7 situation on Monday night, could bounce back better if you needed to finish the game. And in my opinion, Anthony was a little more prepared to do that physically than Cade. And so we started him on Friday. And then if he was going to come out of the pen on Monday, I didn't want that to be the first time that he had done that. So that's why I did it in Hoover. And it actually played out exactly like that.
That is Outstanding. The foresight to plan for that stuff is so cool as a nerd of the game and just understanding the machinations of college baseball head coaches. That is incredible. Thank you for sharing that and the ability to see that far in advance. I know you didn't foresee being down 5-1 to Little Rock in the middle of Game 7, but hey, listen, you won it all. It's okay. It happens. Let's talk about Chase Shores because I think his story is really, really cool. He was part of that 2023 team. He was injured, though. So he was on the squad, but he wasn't playing. He ends up being the guy to close out the 25 title after 18 months of rehab. Going into that Game 2 against Coastal, was it always your thought, hey, Chase needs to be the guy to finish this, or maybe even Chase needs Chase to finish this because the story truly did write itself?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many layers to that. In the game, you're only doing what you think you need to do to win, and having 6'7" guy throwing 101 that throws strikes is a really good option to end any game. So that's credit to Chase and his talent and his ability. There was a sentimental part for me because, we really needed to upgrade the pitching when I came here like that. And I'm so proud of how we've done that with recruiting the talent, developing the players. I mean, this is the best place to pitch in college baseball right now. There is no question about that. When you talk about draft picks, signing bonuses, big leaguers, All-Americans, success. So Chase was the first guy, like real talented high school guy that decided to come to LSU. And so like, he'll always have like a big place in my heart for that. And then he earned his way into the rotation on that 23 team that also won the national championship. And then we moved him to the bullpen during SEC play, and he got hurt. I mean, he threw like a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. I think he struck out like Christian Moore from Tennessee. The place was going bonkers, and he walked into the dugout. He's like, "Coach, I think I hurt my arm." And I mean, it was like the only pit in the stomach moment of that entire season. And it really hurt us in 24, like not to have him. And I think it stymied his development a little bit because that's how you get better, by pitching and playing. But then we got him back out there this year, and it took a little bit of time to get reacclimated after the surgery. And by the end, he pitched 4 of the 5 games in Omaha. I mean, there was really no other way. Like, it should have ended without him on the mound. And I mean, he sinks the ball so well. And we broke the school record for fielding percentage last year. So to end the national championship on a double play with Danny and Steven and Jared, like, it was like the perfect storm. And then, I was like, he got on the bottom of that big dog pile. I mean, you can see a picture of it right there. And then I had like this one moment, man, like, I hope he's okay, because somebody's going to give that guy at least $2 million. And thankfully he's okay. And the Angels are happy and everybody's happy. So.
Have you ever been on the bottom of one of those dog piles? It's not a safe place.
Yeah, it's especially when you're 5'7". It is not a good place.
I'm 5'9", and I've been on the bottom of one of those. I cut myself with my own. Somebody pushed my glasses into my face. It is not a safe place to be. Luckily, that was the only injury I suffered there, and luckily Chase is fine. And it was a safe dog pile. We're really happy to hear that. Let's kind of transition to 2026 here as we go a few more minutes with Jay Johnson. Really appreciate your time, Coach, here today. One thing I think a lot of fans overlook when their team wins the national championship. Everybody else has already gotten a jump on next year. Like, yeah, obviously you want to win it all in Omaha, but if you are that team, there really is no break. You've got to hit the ground running. I know in 23, you told us I was back at work the next morning. Was it easier for you and your staff to do that this time around, having done it 2 years ago?
I actually thought we did a great job 2 years ago while we were in Omaha of navigating it. We set the stage for like Luke Holman and Gage Jump to come here, Michael Braswell, Mac Bingham. And, those guys helped us, hold our own in 24 while losing basically the entire team from 23. So I'm aware of like what's going on. And I've tried to say like, hey, we can't use that as an excuse. And I will tell you, like, I was really focused on Omaha in Omaha. And it was actually unique. The last time we fell into the losers bracket in the second bracket, like, we literally played every day except the day before the finals. So there wasn't a lot of time. This time, like, staying in the winners bracket and then like beating Arkansas on the first championship game of the bracket gave us like 2 days, and it was literally, tied for first best game I've ever been a part of. And no coach gets a night like the Tommy Tanks 2-run homer against Wake, and then the Jarrett Jones single 3 runs in the ninth to beat Arkansas, who's the opponent I respect as much or more than anybody. And I remember just like standing on the field that night and going like, this is amazing. Well, the next morning, like there was a little lake around our hotel. It was like, hey, I gotta talk to some of these players. And so I literally like just put my headphones in and woke up relatively early and walked around the lake and made several transfer portal recruiting calls, and helped us, get some of the guys that we have at that time, and then was immediately obviously right back to Coastal Carolina. So I think we did okay. The portal is interesting because, what we can't decide is who goes in. And, nobody's been more fortunate than us when you talk about Paul Skeens, Tommy White, Luke Holman, Gage Jump, on and on and on. Zach Cowan, Luis Hernandez, Danny Dickinson. We've just done a good job of picking the right guys. And the guys from last year were certainly the right guys. And that's what our hope is for this year.
Yeah, especially with guys like Trent Caraway from Oregon State, Cooper Moore from Kansas, just to name a few. You guys got quite a haul in the transfer portal this year as well. As we talk about the building blocks for this 26 team, you've got a team that's really balanced between returners and newcomers, and obviously had to replace a lot. 9 guys going in the MLB draft, 4 in the first 3 rounds. But you start with a returner like Derek Curiel, who was one of the linchpins for you all last season. He led the team in average, 3rd in RBIs. He's shifting to center field from left field this year. How big is it for you to be able to build this team around a guy like that who has his experience and his success at LSU?
He's a great player, and he's just baseball player, and he'd be, again, a guy that'd be a great player for anybody. But if there ever was like a Coach Johnson offensive player, like it's him. He can hit, he can run. He has unbelievable strike zone management skills. His ability to handle the bat with runners in scoring position and on base, his 2-strike hitting ability, just a really special player. And, it's a great starting point. And it's crazy. Like, I'll probably lose him after this year as a draft eligible sophomore. And I was like, hey, dude, I spent like 5.5 years recruiting you and I only get to coach you for 2. It doesn't seem fair. Nah, but Derek's great, and him coming to college and choosing LSU, that's a big reason why we won the championship. And it is a really good starting point for our team. And I'm proud of the efforts that he's putting in to take his game to another level. When you reach that type of success, you can kind of just say, hey, I'm okay. But he's put on a good 17, 19 pounds and still moving, the same way, which is a credit to him.
One more big one for you, Coach, and then we'll do a couple quick hitters and get you out of here, as we really appreciate the time you've given us here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. When you have as many newcomers as you do, and I know that's becoming the norm in college athletics nowadays, how do you go about building the chemistry of this group here in the fall? Or is that something you let the players take care of on their own?
Yeah, no, everything's by design. And it's a good question. And it's something that has to be reset every year. Culture, program, you have those things, but then there's the team and the year. And last year we really, really hammered it because we only had 12 returning players from the year before. And so there was more new players last year than there is this year. But the guys that returned from that group, I think, have done a pretty good job of knowing how important that was to last year's team and are working to reset it. And it has been a little challenging here in the last week because I wanted them to celebrate. I wanted them to enjoy the fruits of the labor of last year. Well, we're still trying to build this team. And, I still don't have the formula for having a great inter squad the day after a ring ceremony. I'm not good at that. I can promise you that, because we could play a lot better than we did yesterday. But I'm really looking forward to this next month. Like, we do fall baseball late, so we still have a good 4 weeks ahead of us. We'll play our 2 fall games. We'll have 2 competitive inter squad things to wrap it up. And part of that is you can't build chemistry without going through like shared experience, some adversity, some success, and we haven't had a lot of that yet. So the best days of building that are ahead of us, I think.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Couple of quick hitters for you here as we get you out the door. When Jay Johnson is not at the ballpark, where is he? What do you do with the limited downtime you have?
Whew, I wish I knew. I do sleep. It's a pretty simple deal. I work all day, and then I do sleep well. Like, people ask me about that. Like, do you not sleep much? No, I actually do. It's just from, alarm clock to head on the pillow. It's pretty much LSU baseball. I do love college football. I do watch a lot of college football this time of year where I can. I'm not very good at golf. I do go out with donors here sometime, and everybody's so nice. They're patient while I'm double bogeying and looking for my ball and all that type of stuff. And then, it's about it. I've got a great wife and does a lot to sacrifice for this. So we just hang out and relax, and that's about it.
All right. Well, it sounds like if you have a day off in Hoover, that you and I need to hit the golf course at one of the Hoover municipal courses, because we'd be double bogeying together. So I'd have all the patience in the world for you, because I'd be doing the same thing. I'd probably lose more balls than you. Best Louisiana dish you've had in your 4.5 years here?
It's going to be different than anybody says. Like, so there's a place called Phil's Oyster Bar, and it's a really cool local place. It's got LSU stuff all over, jerseys, this and that. And they have like this appetizer. It's a meatball quesadilla. And it is easily my favorite thing in Baton Rouge to eat. And that's not it's all amazing. At 5'6" or 7 or whatever I am, I'm probably shrinking now. And I still have to wear a baseball uniform to work. Like, I can't go crazy with all of that. But all the food here is good. But Phil's Oyster Bar, that's the spot I like.
A meatball quesadilla. Okay. I was just in Louisiana a couple weeks ago. I was in New Orleans, not Baton Rouge. But the next time I make my way to Baton Rouge, Phil's Oyster Bar, get ready. I'm coming for the meatball quesadilla. Wow. That sounds just like a heart attack waiting to happen, and I can't wait. Pick any player out there, college or pro, that you haven't coached. Who would you want to coach?
Wow. That's a tough one. I would say the best pitcher that we ever faced, the two were Steven Strasburg at San Diego State and then Hagen Smith at Arkansas. I was so happy never to see him ever again. I remember we finally, like, his junior year, got him out of the game 6-6 in a tie game. And I was like, when it was like 2-2, I was like, that's easily the best we've ever done against him. Those two pitchers were probably the best pitchers I've seen in college baseball. I think, big league players, hard not to say Ohtani right now, guy that impacts the game. Matter of fact, President Trump, as soon as I met him, he started talking about Ohtani. It was like not 5 seconds into the conversation, he wanted to know if LSU had a baseball player as good as Ohtani. And I was like, Mr. President, probably not. So he's an easy answer. Really like Freddie Freeman. I'm not a Dodgers fan, but I really like Freddie Freeman. Just classic hitter that has power, but doesn't have to sell out to get to power. That's a trait I really like in hitters. And when you listen to him in all these interviews, guy's one of the best players of this generation. All he does is talk about the team and winning. And I think it's a good model for players. So there's many more. Thankfully for me, I did get to coach two of the best, and Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. And, those guys are better human beings than baseball players. So I've had a unique experience to coach the best. And those two guys are always going to be at the top of the list for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you combine Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, you have Shohei Ohtani, because the two of them combined could hit 3 homers and strike out 10 guys in the same game. That's possible. I don't know. Science is a wonderful thing, Coach. I don't know if we can kind of create this perfect clone of the two of them together, but that would be your Shohei Ohtani. Yeah.
Mixing them together. And it's, and then you get the mixture of Kate Anderson and Jared Jones. You kind of get the same thing. So, very, very fortunate to have great players here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 2 more for you here. Best place to watch the game at Alex Box Stadium that's not your seat in the dugout.
Oh yeah, that was easy. That was top step of the first base dugout. people ask me what I love the most about being in Baton Rouge, and it's Alex Box Stadium. That's in game night in a close game, and we're up to bat with runners on base. That's the best part of being the coach here. I've been kicked out at home twice, I think. So it's definitely not the TV from my office. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah, I actually, Kurt Ainsworth and Marucci, they have one of the suites. And sometimes, like, to change scenery, I'll actually go up there and I'll do some work from up there kind of by myself if I'm working through something. Their suite is pretty nice. It's just off to the first base side of home plate. You can see the scoreboard, you can see Tiger Stadium, and it's that would probably be my pick.
That's awesome. Love that. Last one for you here. Do you have any additional superstitions? We talked about the hat. We talked about your wife telling you that you look too old and you need to change your hat out. Any other superstitions you've got going on that we need to know about?
Oh, no, I don't know. The only one I would say is in Omaha, like, there's no downtime. Like, it's just, that's the secret to it. And it's awesome. I love it for the fans and everybody. They get to enjoy it and going out to dinner and all that. Like, I'm really proud of our coaching staff on these two championships. I mean, it's been bunkered down and doing what we need to do to put our team in position to be successful. So let's try to prepare like crazy. And then you get that last night, then you can celebrate all you want. Yeah, nothing crazy. I did forget like my stirrups or something the first game against Arkansas this year, and we won 4-1. So I made it a point to leave something in my room every game and have somebody grab it for me on their way to the stadium. So that, I guess you could call that one. So
see, I knew there was one. It's okay. Everybody doesn't have to be superstitious, but they are a little stitious. So there you go. All right, Coach, listen, we really appreciate the time. A lot of great stuff there, and really looking forward to watching LSU try and defend their national championship here in 2026 as you go for your third in 5 seasons here in Baton Rouge. Best of luck and enjoy the rest of fall ball. Thanks for the time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.